Ever loved a movie so much you couldn't wait to own it? You tell your friends, your family, your coworkers, just anyone who would listen. Once it's released, you rush over to possess it, excited to relive the experience. But in the end, it only sits and collects dust. This time, I'll be unwrapping them.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's time for another Unwrapped review. This time it is going to be Bring It On. This was voted by the people because why not? I have learned that nostalgia just wins, and I'm going to be changing that a little bit when I do my next voting, but I have no problem, dipping my toes in nostalgia from time to time. I will be doing some more, videos that were voted on. I'm gonna do, the second and third place winners. And I've already watched I think it's the third place winner. I just gotta watch the second place winner's movie. So, last time when I did a vote, I watched Save the Last Dance, which I've mentioned is, one of my favorite, romantic movies, and it's, holds a lot of nostalgia for me. And so it was funny that nostalgia won the vote again, and I got to see Bring It On, which I've seen a bajillion times, but I never, unwrapped this movie. I don't know why. Maybe because I do see it a bajillion times, on TV. So, in case you are living under a rock and don't know what Bring It On is about, let me tell you. The Toro cheerleading squad has spirit, spunk, sass, and a killer routine that's sure to land them the national championship trophy for the 6th year in a row. But for newly elected team captain Torrance, played by Kirsten Dunst, the Toros' road to cheer glory stumbles when she discovers their perfectly choreographed routines were stolen from a hot hip-hop squad across town. Now the squad must scramble to find a new routine to compete in this year's competition. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing I did when I was reviewing Save the Last Dance, because this movie did come out in 2000. And there were, I think, a lot of, what's the difference between white people, black people, and then how can we all coexist and appreciate each other kind of thing going on. I feel like that's, what Save the Last Dance is like, and this is kind of the same, but it's more, looking at it now, and if you think about it on, a deeper level, it's kind of, a good movie example of, explaining cultural appropriation, where this white cheerleading squad pretty much steals the routines from a black cheerleading squad and making it more mainstream and palatable or whatever, because they've won competitions off of stealing black people's routines. And it's I'm sure some people haven't thought of it that way. They just think about how fun and quotable and all of that, it just hits that nostalgia point. But for me watching it, it was it just naturally just kind of clicked, oh, this is a good movie to be hey, do you want to know what cultural appropriation is? Here's Bring It On, watch it. It's pretty much like that, just a very simplistic form. I don't know if you believe I don't know if you believe me on that or you agree, but I think it kind of is. So, funny thing, I guess this is collector's edition, that's always cool. I still love Bring It On. I still think it's a great, fun movie. It has a lot of fun routines. It has a fun little moment, lots of fun moments that I still remember, even though I haven't maybe seen this movie in, a year or two, or, I don't know, I've probably seen it months ago or something, because I do show it on TV quite a bit. We got, the cheers, the birds, cold in here, the spirit fingers, and all that other stuff. It's also has some really good diverse characters, and there's moments where they do comment a little bit on male cheerleaders and how it coincides with sexuality and stuff, because just because you do cheer doesn't mean you're gay and all that other stuff. I mean, they don't do like a deep dive on the topic or anything, but they do kind of like gloss over a little bit. And I'm glad that, they were like, they ended up, working together in harmony, and that she was trying to like undo the wrongs of the squad and like Kirsten Dunst's character Torrance. But yeah, there's a lot of like cool, memorable moments, and I've never forgot them because it's hard to forget Bring It On, honestly. And sometimes I think of Not Another Teen Movie, which parodied parts of this, like, of Bring It On with...
Don't think you fooling us because we saw you at our practice and I know you stole our routine.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about because we've always done our own cheers. Right, girls?
That's right.
Well, then you better bring it.
Oh, it's already been brought in.
I did have, like, a tinge of sadness watching the movie because Black, a very briefly popular trio of ladies that sung R&B back in the 2000s when there were a lot of like trio of black ladies out there like 3LW, is in this movie, and I'm sure it probably boosts their popularity just a little bit more because they do have a music video related to this movie called As If, and I think there's a version that features NSYNC's JC Chazes, so that's a thing. But that tinge of sadness is because I did like Black, and it was a product, I think, of Left Eye from TLC, rest in peace, and one of the members in the group, I can't think of her name at the moment, but I loved her, and she was one of my favorites, and she is no longer with us, so that made me feel a little sad. So we watched like Clueless on my birthday for a little bit, and when like Brittany Murphy showed up, you kind of get that like little hints of like sadness, like, oh, she was so cute, she was so talented, and she's no longer with us anymore. So I kind of felt like that about her when I saw her, because I think she did have like the most lines out of the three girls, because she had like the attitude, and that's like who she is. One thing I want to bring up that I was using from when I was doing the Save the Last Dance review was, wow, this movie's been out, like, it's been 20 years since this movie came out, because it came out in 2000. Like, does this movie still hold up? Are there, like, problematic moments? So, okay, there might be, like, tiny hints of, like, wordage and, like, insults towards, like, oh, like, they might be gay because they're male cheerleaders, or, ooh, she looks like an Uber type, or, those kind of little, I don't know if you would categorize them as microaggressions. I don't know the PC term. I mean, there's this little ad, like, in skepticism over Torrance's boyfriend on whether he's like gay or not. I mean, they kind of like hinted, but then they kind of don't. It's like, it's really hard. He could just be like really feminine. They don't really explore that much. Like, I don't think that's like that big of a deal. But there's one cheer that they do when the Clovers show up at one of their games, and the Toros respond with, that's okay, you're gonna pump my gas one day, which kinda seems just a tiny bit, just a little bit, kind of bit, like, racist, not really racist, but just like a tiny bit, like, problematic. Like, really, you can take it as, like, oh, because, they view black people as lower or something. But, I mean, if you think because Torrance is trying to make things right with creating new cheers and, like, undo what, Big Red did by taking the Clovers' cheers and claiming it as her own, just probably just using it as like a playful insult of, you know, you're lower than me. You're gonna work at a convenience store, you're gonna work at a grocery store, you're beneath me, that kind of thing. I didn't really, you know, take it personally offensive or anything, but I did kind of like, I don't know. I don't think like that insult would work very well like today's standards. But I think everything else seemed perfectly fine with the movie. Please let me know in the comments below if you think there were other like possible like little problematic moments. But I think honestly that Bring It On does withstand the test of time. It is still a highly enjoyable movie, and I don't see any issues with it. Like, even if I like take out if I take those nostalgia glasses off and look at it objectively, I still think this was a fun, good movie, and I don't really know too many like fun, entertaining cheerleading movies that I actually like watched since this came out that I like really enjoy. Sure, I've seen some like interesting, good, entertaining like dance movies, but cheerleading not so much. And I mean, personally, I'm not like really big into cheerleading or anything, but yeah, it's just I don't really see that much content on cheerleading that isn't, you know, the stereotype or mocking it or just overly emphasizing like we need to take like cheerleading like seriously or something. I don't know. So if you've seen Bring It On, tell me your favorite moment in the movie. But for the most part, that's the end of my Unwrapped review of Bring It On. I'd like to thank everyone who helped pick this movie. It's still fantastic. I still love it. I still give it, I don't know, probably like 4.5 out of 5 or whatever. I really still love this movie, and I'm glad I physically own it. Also, I watched the extras, so there are like a bunch of extras. I did watch all of those, so, excluding like the commentary. But I thought it was like really enjoyable to see that a lot of them try to learn like their own the routines themselves and not really rely on like stunt doubles and stuff. And then they were talking about how they learned a lot of the cheer terminology and stuff, which is pretty cool that they were that immersive in it. So I enjoyed that part. But yeah, so overall, yeah, Bring It On, still a great movie, still enjoyed it. Probably most likely will see it like 10,000 more times. So if you enjoyed this Unwrapped review of Bring It On, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more stuff that I do, please hit that subscribe button below. I post like on Wednesdays or Thursdays, and sometimes I double post during the week, because why not? And if you want early access to videos that I post here or anything that is on the blog and other little extra things that I do, you can join Patreon and have fun with the rest of us. I mean, we do quite a bit of stuff on there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.